Hey, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. Today we're going to have the first part of a two-part tutorial looking at the Fleetwood Mac tune You Make Loving Fun, bassline of course played by John McVie. The reason it's in two parts, the great thing about this bassline is McVie builds from a very simple pattern where he's just playing root notes on beats 1 and 3 of the bar, and he develops it entire way through the song. And when I came to look at the song, I thought the best way to teach it would be to teach it note by note through the entire song, so you can see how this groove develops, and he throws in some nice tasty little fills as well at various sections. Plus there's a great contrast in the chorus where he goes from this kind of driving rhythm that he's got in his bass line, and he then plays a pattern where he's sustaining notes over 2 bars in some instances. Very unusual, makes a very good contrast between the verse, and it's a great study in how to create a bass line and then develop it through the course of a song. So part 2 will be the second half of the song. This is the first half of the song, takes you up to the approximately the 2-minute mark of the tune. Before we get into the first part, which is the intro, if you're not a subscriber to my free monthly e-zine, click on the link underneath the video. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to my website, find the subscribe page and sign on. You get a free monthly tutorial with video and PDF, which is exclusive to people who are signed up. You can't see it any other way. And in addition to that, there are 4 PDF and video lessons as a thank you for entrusting me with your email address. So go and do that, then come back and let's go to the first part of the lesson, which is the intro. So let's start with the 8-bar intro. Play it with the metronome and we'll talk through the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That last G there would be the first note of the next section. Okay, so this sets up the basic feel of the tune, and this is what McVie develops the line from. First 4 bars, you've got 4 bars of a G chord. He's just playing G, 3rd fret of the E string, and he's only playing on beats 1 and 3, and it's quite a short, sharp staccato kind of a. Okay, so you've got 4 bars of G there, then you've got 2 bars with an F chord. Same rhythm, playing on beats 1 and 3, and just the root note F on the 1st fret of the E string. And then the last 2 bars of this first 8-bar section, you go up to E flat at the 1st fret of the D string, and we're going to play this. So again, you're playing on beats 1 and 3, and then we've got an extra 2 notes on beat 4, which is E flat and B flat, 1st frets of the D and A strings respectively, and that'll take us back to the first G for the verse. Okay, the verse is made up of, it's a 16-bar pattern. It's the chord progression that's in the intro, and which is played twice with some subtle variations. I'll play through these 16 bars, then talk through the variations. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll go through those. The first 4 bars are identical to the first 4 bars of the intro. Just playing G, 3rd fret of the E string, beats 1 and 3. Then we're going to go to F, again beats 1 and 3. Then to E flat, beats 1 and 3. Then on beat 4, we've got 2 16th notes of the E flat, the 1st fret of the D string. Then an 8th note, B flat, 1st fret of the A string. Then we're back to G on beats 1 and 3. And there we've got an and, or an anticipated note, or an approach note at the end of that pattern of 4 bars of G. Again, it's just a G, and it goes down to F. We've got a nice little fill there, so we've got F on beats 1 and 3, beat 1, and then F, G, A, C, which is F first fret of the E string, G third fret of the E string, open A string, C third fret of the A string. And the last 2 bars of the verse, very similar to before, with a tiny variation. Okay, so you've got E flat on beats 1 and 3, and then the fill on beat 4 is an open D string and C at the third fret of the A string again, which leads you, it's a nice approach note, so you get a nice scalar approach down to B flat, which is the first note of the chorus. So let's go look at the chorus. Okay, the chorus is another 16-bar section. What I really like about this section is the way McVie goes from playing his rhythmic pattern, been playing on that kind of a pulse, and then in this section he very much plays sustained notes. It really makes his line stand out. It's not doing anything wild and exciting, but it's a great contrast and it fits really well with the song. Play it with the metronome, then we'll talk through it. 2, 3, 4. Guitar solo. Okay, so let's go through that note by note. The first 2 bars are just a B flat held over those 2 bars, first fret of the A string there. Then the next 2 bars, another sustained note, it's A flat, the first fret of the G string. Again, that's held for 2 bars. Then for a bar, we've got the open G string. Then we've got F at the third fret of the D string. Then we've got E flat, the first fret of the D string for a bar, and then the last bar of the first 8 bars of the chorus, you've got E flat for 3 beats, and then you've got the open D and the C, which leads back to the B flat at the start of the second 8 bars. So, slight variation on the first 2 bars in the B flat chord. Instead of holding the B flat for two bars, we hold it for a bar and then for another beat and a half. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then those notes in that run, you've got another B flat, C at the third fret of the A string, open D, F, third fret of the D string, open G, and then that leads you back to that A flat at the first fret of the G string, and you hold that A flat for 2 bars as you did previously. Then we've got open G held for a bar, then we've got F, and then we don't hold that for a bar, we've got 2 approach notes at the end of that bar, C, third fret of the A string, open D, back to E flat, first fret of the D string, that's held for 6 beats, and then you've got this little hammer on fill, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Then you'll be into the guitar solo. So that hammer on, open D to E flat, first fret of the D string, open A to B flat, first fret of the A string, and then down to G for the guitar solo. So let's go and look at that guitar solo, which will be the last section of part 1 of this tutorial. The guitar solo, same chords as the verse, but now McVie's really starting to develop his line. I'll play it through with the metronome and we'll talk through the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. chorus, which we'll look at in part 2 of this tutorial. Okay, so the first 2 bars, you're just playing G, but notice this time it's gone from the playing on the 1 and 3 to playing short staccato notes on every beat. So in that third bar of the guitar solo, it gets up to the octave, which is the 5th fret of the D string. The rest of the notes are the 3rd fret of the E string, the low note. Then the 4th bar, there's a nice fill, which also allows him, by using the open strings, to get back into position. So you've got G, the 3rd fret of the E string, G again at the 3rd fret of the E string, C to D, 3rd and 5th frets of the A string, F, 3rd fret of the D string, open D string, hand shift, C, 3rd fret of the A string, open A, and then you're down to the 5th bar, which is F. You've got 2 bars where it's just F at the 1st fret on the beat, then up to E flat, 1st fret of the D string, and you've got that fill at the end of that bar again where you're playing 2 16th notes of E flat and then an 8th note of B flat, and then you're back into G. Then the second bar, when you come into G, or it'll be the 10th bar of the guitar solo, you're going from G down to F, 3rd to 1st frets of the E string, and back to G for 2 more bars. Then you're down to down to F, and those 2 bars are 2 low Fs on the beat, 1st fret of the E string, octave of F, 3rd fret of the D string on the beat. Next, the 4th beat of this bar, F to C, 3rd frets of the D and A strings respectively. Then on the next bar, repeat that F to C in 8th notes, back to F, another F, and then G, open A, C. So I'll play that in time. 2, 3, 4. Then you'd be up to E flat. These are all on the beat. 1st fret of the D string. And then you've got that run again, or scalar fill, scalar approach fill, open D string, C, take you down to B flat, which will be the first note of chorus 2, which we'll look at in part 2 of this tutorial. So put those together and you can learn the first half of the song. This takes you up to around the 1 minute 50 mark of the tune, I think, and then we'll finish the song off in the next part of the tutorial.